State and local government positions account for about 13% of the nation's jobs, and the sector has historically been more welcoming for women and African Americans. But the New York Times reported last month that a study from governmentjobs.com, a recruiting site for public sector jobs, found that among candidates deemed qualified for a job in the city, county, or state government, black women were 58% less likely to be hired than white men. The study analyzed more than 16 million applicants by race, ethnicity, and gender in 2018 and 2019, even before the pandemic took its toll on working women of color in all sectors. Joining us now, Minda Harts, author of the book, The Memo, What Women of Color Need to Know to Secure a Seat at the Table. Also with us, Columbia University law professor Alexandra Carter. She's the author of Ask for More. And former North America CEO of Focus Brands, Kat Cole, joins us again. So, Minda, in your book, you write in part this: the current system is broken, and it will take all hands on deck to reassemble a table that did not originally have a seat for us. But the good news is that this is our story told by us. Time to secure our seat at the table and give everybody the memo. Let's go. So what's in this memo, and what do you think is behind the really big numbers, the disparity that we're seeing?
Mika, it's great to see you. And what I hope happens is that corporate America gets the memo that we have to finally look at intersectionality when it comes to gender in the workplace. It's not enough just to say we're advancing women, but what women are being advanced. When I wrote the memo, 70% of women of color that I interviewed felt like their managers weren't invested in their success. And I believe that's a direct correlation between the lack of advancement and retainment of Black women in the workplace. And I think it starts with our managers, Mika.
So, Kat, and then Alex, Kat, you've pointed out that shift to a remote environment has made it harder for women of color. So let's look at this problem right at this moment. Why is that the case?
Yeah, to Minda's point, it's already an environment where managers and leadership need to level up to really connect with all people in their workplace, certainly women, and especially women of color, given these dynamics at play. Add on remote work, where a manager who might have previously been magnetic or warm in the workplace and connecting, and people are now remote. And I heard through 2020 from our diverse employees, in particularly from our women of color, I feel invisible. The word invisible came up repeatedly. I don't feel seen or connected. And the lack of those intimate relationships, the awareness, the discussion about their progress, mentorship, programs for advancement, and then seeing people like them in key positions who really do understand their lived experience led to them feeling invisible. And as this great reshuffling is going on in the workplace, as everyone is busy on LinkedIn and the Muse looking for their jobs, those women, those powerful Black women that companies and other women of color that companies want to see retained in their organizations are looking for organizations that are going to value them.
So, Alex Carter, as the author of Ask for More, I'm not surprised that you say the answer to this, to an extent, when it comes to achieving equity for women of color, is that companies need to ask more questions. What are the questions?
Yeah, Mika, thank you for having me. So not just more questions, but better questions, both of themselves and their employees. So, for example, instead of just wondering, why did this woman of color not get promoted? Zoom out and ask the bigger question. What's our promotion system? What are we doing to retain and nurture top talent of color? And the same goes for when we're having those individual conversations. You know, Mika, last year after George Floyd was murdered, I reached out to my graduates of color to ask them what their managers were doing to support them. One woman of color told me her manager emailed and asked, "Are you okay?" That's a closed question, and she felt compelled to say, "Thank you, I'm fine." Second woman told me her senior manager called her and said, "Tell us what we can do to support you better." That question opened up a conversation. So the questions we ask shape the conversations we have and the change we can make.
So, Mika,
Minda,
to intersection.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
To intersectionality, what I've seen leaders, in particular male leaders, who aren't sure where to start, they'll ask one person in their company, the one person of color, what can we do for them or everyone, or one woman? What can we do for the women? And the answer is ask them as individuals. There's too broad a scope of variety of lived experiences to get a gauge on what people need by talking to a few people you happen to be close with in the workplace.
And I think asking the right question is so important. But Minda, would you agree that women, and perhaps even more so minority women, still feel uncomfortable asking? They still feel uncomfortable answering because they don't want to present themselves as problematic. How do we bridge that, if you agree with that?
Yes, Mika, I absolutely agree with that. I think we have to really look hard at the psychological safety that companies are either providing for Black and brown women or not. Because even if you ask me how I'm feeling, doesn't mean that I feel comfortable and safe enough to be able to be honest with you. And I think we really have to create those safe spaces. And that means that our managers and leaders have to create relationships with Black and brown women so they feel comfortable to be able to tell them the truth, be able to speak our truth. And so I think that we really have to drill down deeper to say, what does good look like? And good looks like first, setting representation targets for Black women in the workplace so that we actually have some data that we can say, hey, look at how either you're doing this well or you're not doing it at all, and then reward and share success. I think it's important for companies to talk about and be transparent about their numbers as it relates to Black and brown women in the workplace, because it's the intentionality for me, Mika.
So I'm writing a question, Minda, taking Alex's question and adding something to it that I think would really help. So if you have strong female talent and you want that talent to grow in your company, absolutely. What can we do to make things easier for you, to make it easier for you to do your job? But maybe start that off with, we're really pleased with how things are going. That opens the door for a little comfort. And then now what can we do to make it easier for you to do your job? Those questions engender confidence, which I think, Minda, I'll let you have the last word here, is another area where men and women really differ in the workplace in terms of confidence.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And also, too, when we talk about representation, it's hard to be confident when you see that your company says diversity matters, but you never see yourself on the About Us page or in senior leadership. So again, I think that Black and brown women have been doing everything that we can do, but success is not a solo sport. We need our leaders to step up now.
Okay. And as we've been talking, we've been texting, we're planning a clubhouse, the three of us, on Friday. Minda Harts, thank you very much. The book is The Memo, What Women of Color Need to Know to Secure a Seat at the Table. Minda, we'd love you there. Alex Carter, Kat Cole, thank you both as well. I'll talk to you both, all three of you, on Friday on Clubhouse. And that does it for us this morning. Stephanie Ruhle picks up the coverage right now.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.